Rochelle is 23, and David is 21.
Oh, very old.
They're both in college.
Where do they go to college?
Rochelle is in um, Colorado,
Colorado.
Durango, Colorado, and David is in near San Francisco. He goes for psychology.
Okay. The date is September 13th, 1995. The survivor is Sally Alebarda, and the interviewer is Chaim Rasov. We are in Boca Raton, Florida, Century Village, in the United States. The language to be spoken will be English, and this is tape number 1. Today is September 13th, 1995. I am Chaim Rasov, the interviewer. I am interviewing Sally Alebarda. We are in Boca Raton, Florida, in Century Village, in the United States, and the language that we will be speaking will be English. Good morning, Sally.
Good morning.
Let's start by you telling me your name and spelling your last name.
Okay. My name is Sally. You want me to spell Sally?
No, Sally, we know. Last name.
Alebarda.
Okay. When and where were you born?
I was born August the 5th, 1921.
Where?
In Radomsko,
Poland.
Poland.
Okay. Tell me something about your parents.
My parents were very nice people. There was a love story. They got married, you know, and we were a very happy family.
What did your father do for a living?
My father was a butcher.
Okay. Tell me about your brothers and sisters.
My older brother, was out already from school, and he learned a trade, a tailor.
What was his name?
Shmuel.
That was Shmuel, right? Give me their names when you mention them.
Shmuel. And then when I finished school, I learned how to sew shirts, men's shirts. And my sister also tried, but the war broke out.
What was her name?
Tema.
Tamara.
And my brother, Nissen, didn't have a chance because he was too young. He was still in school. And my youngest sister, the same thing. She was only 8 when the war broke out.
You went to school. Tell me about your schooling.
I went to school in our town. There was 2 public schools, especially for Jewish kids. It was not like a ghetto, but we had, our principal was Jewish in one school, and the other school was Gentile. But mostly we were with Jewish kids in public school.
So there wasn't much anti-Semitism in the school?
There was
you with your own?
not in the school, but outside was plenty anti-Semitism.
You also went to a Hebrew school?
Yeah,
Tell me about it.
by Yankov.
Tell me about that.
Well, a very funny thing. We had a teacher, and she told us a story about Reb Akiva. And she used to stress it out, you know. Every day she said, he went, he came, and tomorrow she will say more. And it was very interesting.
She kept you interested?
She kept us very interesting.
How long did you go to Cheder? Until what age?
Ooh, until I think by 14 I was finished. 14. From 12, I would say, till 14.
And you learned what languages? You learned
Polish. Polish was my main language, and Yiddish, of course.
and a little Hebrew?
Very low.
Tell me about the religiousness of your home. Was your father religious?
My father was Orthodox. I come from an Orthodox family. My grandparents were Orthodox.
What was life in your community before the occupation?
Not so good.
Tell me about
We were always, in Polish, there was parszywy Żyd, which means very bad expression for Jewish people.
Pogroms?
For mine times, there was no pogroms, but when when a Polak, when a Polak went into a Jewish business, they put a sign on him in the back. That pig buys by Jewish people. Very anti-Semitic.
Now, this was before anything
I'm
happened.
talking about before the war, right? We were always mistreated as Jews.
You were looked down upon?
Of course.
And then was there any brutality? Did they
If
break
they
people?
could, yes, they did. They did. There were a man in our town. Can I put this in?
Sure.
The father had a bakery. He only baked matzahs for Passover. And he went to help out. He was a man maybe 20 years old, very husky, healthy boy. He went to help out his father. And as he passed by the street, a little Polak came over and he said, you know, we call him names and you Jew, whatever. So he answered him. And the little guy said to him, come to the backyard with me. So he was a little boy, and the other one was a big man, so he figured, what does he want? Not knowing that the little guy had a knife, and he killed him. And you want to know something? He went to court, he never got anything because they said he was underage.
So this was...
That was,
the way
I'm
Jews
just
were
telling you
treated.
briefly how they were treated us.
When did you realize something was going wrong, that there was a terrible situation happening? What month, what year?
Well, it started already in 1938, 37, you know, shortly before the war, they start off that was a Madame Priester, she was a spy for the German people. And she started off that we cannot cut a cow kosher, we should shoot them because it's whatever. In the meantime, they prepare for the war. The Polacks, they didn't realize what's going on. And when the war broke out in September 1939, the first thing, they hit Radomsko because they had a reason. The French people had a factory, an ammunition factory in our town. So they bombed. That was a Friday. I never forget that. My mother got up in the morning not knowing nothing. She started preparing for Shabbos, started cutting noodles, and all of a sudden, bombs. And that was Friday. Saturday morning, they bombed again. And we were looking where to hide. So we went into one house, and the next house was bombed. People were in a basement. Maybe 50 people got killed. They pulled out legs, heads, arms. If that will be like at not too far, like 20 feet, 25 feet, if they will hit us, we would be there. And after that, we went out, and we couldn't see nothing. I was there with my parents and my brothers and my sisters, and we start running. We ran. We ran to villages out of town. And of course it was bombed. And Sunday morning, they marched right in. The Polacks said they wouldn't give a button. They gave the whole suit. In Polish is sound. If somebody wants to know, nie damy guzika, ale całe palto. Palto is a coat.
Right, they gave you the whole coat.
And of course, since then, the soon they marched in, there was no good for Jewish people. They didn't know that we're Jewish because we were normal people. But the Polacks, as little as they was, the first thing they learned, Judah. And they pointed out. The war broke out. We came back Sunday afternoon or Monday morning. Everything was polluted, with the bombs and everything. And we went into our apartments in the beginning. And right away they said we cannot go until 7 o'clock. We're allowed to walk in the street. And after 7, we have to be in. So my brother Shmuel, he went to a library and he wanted to prepare himself that he should have something to read. And on the way to the library, Gestapo was on the street looking for Jewish people. And a little boy, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 years old, who knows, said, Judah. And my brother. My brother was a very handsome guy, very well dressed and intelligent. And they took him in. They took him into that factory where there was bombed. And they asked him he should pick up the gate. No, that was impossible. He couldn't do it.
Very heavy.
Couldn't.
Right.
They knew that he couldn't. Not one person, but 10 people would be able. They just tortured him. So of course he tried, but he couldn't. So then one Gestapo went over with a scissor, and he not really cut, they hoed him in the hair, cut off a swastika. And they put him away to the wall, and they said to him with a gun, where should I shoot at? The mouth, the head, or the heart? My brother was staying, and what can he do in a situation like that? So he said, "Es ist mir ganz egal," which means, doesn't matter to me. After he said that, another Gestapo went up with a pail of cold water. They didn't shoot him, but they tortured him. And they spilled the cold water on him. I don't have to tell you how he looked after that. He fainted. When he came to it, after they were sitting and drinking, the Gestapo, and having fun, they called him in, and they said, this we make from a good-looking Jewish rich boy. Okay? When he came home, you can picture us. He was not home. Shortly before 7, 5 minutes before 7, he arrived. Our eyes were sticking out. He came home and he told us the story. That was a Monday. I never forget that day. Tuesday morning, they called all men have to go out on the street, on the middle of the street. My brother said he won't go. He doesn't care.
Shmuel said it.
Yes, that's Shmuel. Whatever they do to him, they did it already. So he went to a cellar and he hid. He went hiding. My father was very bashful. He said, I don't trust them, which he had the right to say that. And somehow he didn't go either. But the majority of men went out. Rabbis, or the population, the Jewish population, men, first they call. They cut off their beards with blood, put. They make them dancing in the street. There was a very famous Radomski rabbi. I have an upright from him, a paper. He said, God wants it that way. And they tortured them, and they tortured them, and finally they let them go. And after that, we had to go to work because they bombed. They have to clean up all this So the men went and the women too. They took us also to felt, like field.
Mm-hmm.
We were not used to that. So when I came home one day, my back was killing me because you had to go with the. And then they liquidate our apartments and they put us into a ghetto.
When was this? What year was this?
That was in 1940.
Right. So for 1 year, you were still living at home?
Yes, maybe a year, maybe not quite.
So 1940, what
In
happened?
1940, they put us in. We were not wired in, but they put us the white with the
At the armband.
yes, the band with the Jewish star. The men got yellow stars besides that, and I probably saw that already, red ones, all kind. And we were in the ghetto. We were not allowed to go out from the ghetto.
Can you describe the ghetto?
The ghetto, they cut off a few streets, small streets. There was a synagogue in that particular street, and another few not very important streets. The better streets were out of ghetto. And they said if they find a Jew out the ghetto, they would kill, and they did. Somebody went out, they shot him.
Was there a wire?
There was no wires, but we were not allowed to go out.
You knew where
This
you
is the territory where we're supposed to be. And we're supposed to be till 7 o'clock. After 7, war time. We were not allowed to be. We could have sat outside near the house, but not in the street.
How many people were in an apartment? I mean, you had living quarters. Were they livable?
Yeah, well, it was very tight. There were a few families in apartments. Like we were 7 people. So
Was that one room?
there was like one room, but there really was 2 rooms.
7 people.
This is
What about the food? What type of food did you ever get?
very bad. On top of that, my mother got sick on typhus. That was in 1941, beginning of 1941. And she was critical. There were 3 people in the town where they were critical, and my mother was one of them. I was the one who took care of her. It's contagious.
Very contagious.
So I didn't let in nobody. We didn't have a door to that room, so we just put up like a sheet. My sister said to me, "It's my mother too." The doctor who came to my mother said, if the temperature will go down, it's a virus. But if it won't go down, it's typhus. And I sit by my mother, temperature goes up. And I start crying. And my mother walked up for a second and she said, "Don't cry." She said, "I lost my father in this first war, Osana typhus." My mother said, "I never knew my grandfather from my mother's side." And then my brother knew somebody who worked in the hospital. In the beginning, we didn't want to give my mother to the hospital. We thought she's going to survive without. But then the crisis came. And we saw that my mother's dying. So my brother went to that friend and he said, "Please, there was a doctor from another town." He was not so friendly. You know, wartime, the people were just a number. So he said, the doctor came and he checked my mother. And he said, "Good, good, good, good." And then he didn't say nothing by my mother's shishati. And then I went out with him. And I said, "Doctor, maybe we should take my mother to the hospital." He said to me, "Can't. Your mother will be finished on the way to the hospital." Imagine, I was maybe, how old was I?
16?
15, 16. And so my brother ran to his friend and he says, please talk to the doctor. Talk to, let him take in my mother. So he said that he found that my mother's dying. In Polish was agonia. In Jewish was Kriegszustand. P.S. My mother survived. When my mother opened up the eyes, she asked me who was sick. She thought that I was sick, because the way how I looked. And she saw the doctor one day, and my mother was, she was very outspoken. And she said to the doctor, see, you told me that I'm dying, but I survived. And she survived. And then they liquidated the ghetto in 1942. There were rumors already. Everybody, when the high holidays, usually you wish a Happy New Year, everybody says, we should only live, knowing that something goes on. Nobody believed that they're going to put to the gas chamber people. We thought they sent us to work.
So you were separated from your family?
No, I'm still with my family.
Still with your family?
I'm still with my family. And we start packing a few things, to take with us, and they were talking about the liquidation. In the last minute, my parents said, no, we're going to go hiding. We're going to go to a bunker. My older brother, they offered him in the beginning, he should be a policeman.
Jewish policeman?
Yes. My brother was too delicate and he couldn't do it. He said, I'm going to hit my brother? What do you mean a policeman? The policeman works for the German. He didn't want to accept. If he would have accepted, maybe he would have been still alive. But he didn't. So my brother decided, my older brother Shmuel, there were rumors, that was before liquidate the ghetto, he's going to go to Russia. And he left with some friends. And before he left, my father took him around and he said, Shmulek, wie geist, where are you going? How can we live without you? He was away 2 weeks. Our stove was not used. We didn't cook. We just ate bread, whatever, just to survive. He was under very bad circumstances there. He was very clean and delicate, and they were all over lies, and he couldn't take it. So after 2 weeks, he came back. He came back, so they started sending him to work. They sent him to work in waters. Water. They didn't put no boots. And he got sick. He got lungs.
Pneumonia.
Not pneumonia. He got tuberculosis. He started spitting blood. I come from a very Orthodox family. We never came in chazer in a pig in my house. But the doctor said that he needs that. So my mother turned over the stove, on the left side.
Yeah.
What can I tell? But he was damaged already. And when we went to a bunker, that was in 1942, right after the holidays, in the middle between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. First, we went in with him to a bunker, and somebody put bricks, finished us off. How could we survive anyway?
This was in an attic?
No, that was before.
That was before.
We only survived there one day, overnight. My brother couldn't breathe. So with his hand, he broke the bricks. So of course he was injured. After that, we all went out, and we decided we cannot be here with the bricks. So we went, and my brother thought, he was working, and he thought that he's going to be saved with that place. He put wood on the attic when we were, and we were there, and just nobody would know that we're there. Nobody would know that people are there. And we were there, and he left. And of course, he went to Treblinka. They didn't honor his place where he worked.
Which brother was this?
That was Shmuel.
Shmuel.
That's my oldest brother. And we didn't know what happened to him. We were in the bunker. We took some bread and water. The bread got moldy after a while. And the water was not a condition to, but we had some flour. So we took like a spoon of flour, we mixed it with water.
Raw flour?
Yeah. My sister couldn't take hunger, the one who's here. And she said to my parents, if I die, I want to die, but I can't die from hunger. You see, I ate, I didn't eat just the same. I made, what can you do in a situation like that? So my father said, we have to let it go. We had customers, which they know us. They used to buy by us. And my father went, opened up the bunker. He knocked out the wall. He put out that white kettle, what I mentioned it there for Yom Kippur. And he went out to see what's going on in the ghetto.
He put on the kettle and he went out with the kettle on.
Yeah, and he just looked around.
Yeah.
And whatever he saw was a cat, no people. My sister picked herself up, and she went to a neighbor. She went down in the ghetto, she passed the ghetto. And the Polish woman said to her, my father's name was Moshe. And she called her Mała Moishina, which means little Moshe's daughter. You're going to see that in the paper, it's written down. She said, run, they're going to kill you. So my sister says, but I need some food. Give me a piece of bread or something. Whatever she had in the house, a piece of bread, a few apples. My sister came back with a treasury.
How long were you in this bunker, this attic?
The bunker, we only were there between 10 days or 2 weeks the most.
Can you tell me why your father got into a kettle at this time?
Traditional. He wanted to, he was religious.
Yes, I understand that.
So in a high spirit, in a high holiday, you put on the kettle. Besides that, a religious man doesn't travel without a talis.
Right.
And in Europe, with a kettle, too. Here, they don't wear it. But so he went out, and my sister came back. And then we started to live with a quarter apple. That was a meal. Or it would be sliced where everybody has a piece of bread. And after that, it was already open. So the police searched, the Polish police searched for people. And of course they discovered us.
September 13th, 1995, the survivor is Sally Alebarda. This is tape number 2. We ended with the Nazis breaking in the SS and breaking into your attic bunker. What happened at that time?
But the police, the Polish police.
Polish police.
Polish police. they took us to the station, police station. Oh, louder. On the way to the police station, we passed by our house where we used to live. And for a moment, I said to myself, maybe I'm going to hide here. But it took a moment later, and I think to myself, well, I'm going to survive. How can I be by myself? So I ran after my parents and my family, and they took us to the police station. They took away all the jewelry, what we have, money, whatever we have, and with dogs. They searched us, and we were staying there overnight in jail.
Now, this was all of you, your parents?
Yes, and they concentrate, there were maybe about 2,000 people. But between the 2,000 people, there were 80 teenagers, and I was one of them. So they brought buses, and they put us in on buses. Dogs were running after us. It was a whole tumult. And, the police dogs. And they brought us to Częstochow. There we arrived in a synagogue. The name was Mirovska. As we arrived, there was a mattress with blood. And they are laying on the floor. And they said, whatever you have, if you're not going to put out, you're going to look like that, dead. So everybody, whatever we had left, everybody. One woman had in her dress, right here, she had diamonds or whatever. She ripped it, and the Gestapo was staying, and he said, Mensch eine, how much, he didn't believe his eyes. And then we were in very, very bad conditions. This was a Durchgangslage. That was passing by. They concentrated people and they sent them they were waiting for the trains.
It was a holding point, yeah.
Our luck was that the trains were delayed. And while we were there, the first few days, couple of days, we were hungry. We didn't have nothing to eat. And then the Jewish committee, the Judenrat, they tried to work on it. They said the people are going for dead. They knew already. But at least give them something to food. So they brought in soups. My father refused to eat. He went to Treblinka hungry. He wouldn't eat not kosher. He gave us permission, the children, we should eat. And when you're hungry and somebody brings in food, you're running for the food. But there were people inside, they couldn't run. They were sick. So some people took 2 portions. There were not left for the others. I was not right. So one day they brought us, I first started something else. While we were there was 80 young people. So they figured, why should they give us food and we shouldn't work for it? So they decided they're going to take us in to the ghetto. Częstochow, before the war, had 40,000 Jewish people. They left 10%. God bless you. That was 10%, so there was 4,000 people left from 40,000, okay? Mostly young people. So we went and they count us. They count us maybe 20 times. And they said, if somebody will miss, because we came together with the others, with the other workers, they were legally there already, they're going to kill 20 people. If one person will miss, they wouldn't have, because we went for the dead anyway. I walked out, what the work was, we came into houses, the table was set with cholent, with dishes, and they took away the people to death. We had to take the dishes down, dishes to dishes, bedding to bedding, and they took us to Germany, the German. That was our wake. On the way down, somebody called me, Sala. My name was Sala in Polish. I said, I looked at him, but I didn't know that he knows me. But when he mentioned, where is Shmulek, which means my brother, then I know that he means me. So I said to him, who are you? He explained to me, his grandparents lived in our building. And for the summer vacation, he used to come to visit the grandparents. He lived in Częstochow, so he'd come to Radomsko. It was about 40 miles, from one town to the other. And he used to be friends with my brother. And the first thing was, where are you staying? I said, I'm on the Mirovska synagogue. He said to me, you're going for that? You're not going back. I said to him, what do you mean? He said, see, I know a Polish policeman. He's here. He's watching us. I give him a few złotys. That's Polish money. And he's going to give you, and we didn't have already the bands because we were already marked for that. He's going to give you the band and you're going to come with us. And he brought me a piece of bread, like a little French bread. With me was my sister, the one who's here, and I had my younger brother. My youngest sister was too young, all right? So I shared with them the piece of bread, the first thing, and then how can I go away not telling my sister? I told my sister, I says, Tama, that's the story. His name was Motek. I said, Motek is here, he's Shmulek's best friend, and he wants to take me out. The truth is, my sister should never say that to me. She made a mistake. She said to me, if you want to go ahead. But if they're going to kill 20 people, I'll be the first one, and your brother's going to be the second. Would you go? I didn't go.
What happened to Motek?
He did not survive.
So your going with him wouldn't have helped?
No. He wasn't after when they brought him before. He lived for a while.
He survived?
Yeah. No, he is not alive anymore.
Right,
before.
but he survived the war?
Yeah. No, the war at the end, they took him to Germany when they liquidate our. Anyway.
So your going with him could have been
No. I would have survived. I would have been in the ghetto.
Oh, okay.
I would have been in the small ghetto in the Częstochow. But my sister said to me a remark like that, how can I have on my conscience? We came back and we told my mother, our parents. My mother was very annoyed. My mother said to my sister, you had no right to do that. The truth is they wouldn't have killed nobody. Because what for?
But the fear was there.
But I wouldn't do it if she pointed out to me. And a day later, a couple of days later, we were still waiting for the train. And the Jewish committee brought us in a piece of bread. Let's say it was 2,000 people. They brought 2,000 pieces of bread. But they were smart already. They said, whoever comes out gets the piece of bread and remains outside. And whoever cannot come out, they're going to bring it in, which was right. Okay? I'm staying with a piece of bread and my sister and a cousin of mine. And the main Gestapo, they says, whatever, the one who was with the stick, cane, right and left, he just happened to pass by. And he wanted to see the show. There was a show, how they treat. We were marked like dogs, not people.
You don't know who it was? So
No, but later on I found his name.
What was
His
name?
name was Degenhardt.
Spell it.
D-A-G-A-R-T. Degenhardt. All right? And while he came in with another assessment, he looked at me and my sister, my cousin. We were dressed still nice. We did not sleep laying down because their lives were walking there like unbelievable. We were sleeping standing up. You picture that?
No.
And after we staying there with a piece of bread outside and another two girls. We were all look good. We were nice looking, young. He figured we can still work. So he called us. And he said, we have family here, not knowing that we are sisters. Because if he would know, he would separate. He would take only one. We did look alike. Now we look alike. That I wouldn't. And he said, would you like to go to work, to the ghetto? And you have family? Yeah, we have here family, parents. In a moment like that, you don't know what you're talking. You say yes, everything was yes. And go bring your belonging. So we had that piece of bread and a bottle of water. Okay? He took us into the ghetto. Put us in on a bus, 5 girls. He brought us into the ghetto, brought us into the kitchen, and he said they should feed us. And they should give us a place where to sleep in the ghetto.
When was this? What year was this?
That was in end of 1942. And they gave us some place. We were with girls, boys, separate or whatever. And a day later, they called us in Polish. I would say in English.
Say it in Polish.
Szczęśliwa piątka. That means lucky 5.
Oh, the lucky 5.
Because we were meant to go to Treblinka. Okay? And we were there, and first day he didn't let us go to work. He was very generous with us. Whether he became a grandfather or he got some promoted or something, he was very happy that particular, a very good mood. And a day later, we went to work.
What did you do?
We went into the rooms to bring down the stuff. To bring down, like I said before, parts to parts, plates to plates.
And you went back to the ghetto to clean
right.
out the homes
That
of the Jews.
was
Right.
it.
Okay.
And
how long did you do that?
not too long, maybe for a month or so. Until then, they cleaned it up.
Right.
One of our girls, very interesting, one of our 5th girls, the truth is that she was sick, but her face was like milk and honey. She had cancer while she was a young girl. And the Gestapo, they're not supposed to, it was against really the law that they should sexually molested Jewish women. But she was so pretty. And one Gestapo, there were 2 Gestapo, they went for it. And they called her on the side, and she should go on the attic with them. And she was a very religious girl. She was Taka Baisyankiv, very Orthodox. And she kept saying, she doesn't understand. She did understand, but she knew that it's not going to be good, you know. So one woman, while she was hesitating and they got annoyed that she kept saying
Right.
she doesn't understand, one landlady of mine, she had husband was a dentist, and they sent him to another camp, Skarżysko. And she thought that if she's going to talk to them, maybe they're going to send her to her husband. And while the girl was, acting she doesn't know nothing, she came into the picture, and she started talking German to them, so they took her. And that girl from our fifth, they let her go. They told she's stupid. Okay. And they had sex with her. And they brought her back to the synagogue. She got crazy. She couldn't forgive herself that what she did. She was realizing. Her mother choked her with a pillowcase, kept her mouth because she was screaming. That's when the Gestapo was there and took us out at the same time. All right? And then that was in 1942. Then the ghetto was liquidated, there was cleaned up, everything finished. They took us to ammunition factory. In Częstochow, there were 3 concentration camps. One was Warta, one was Częstochowiana, and we were Hasak. And they lined us up in the morning, and we went out to work to the ammunition factory, and at nighttime, they brought us back.
What kind of conditions did you have?
Very bad conditions.
They were just as bad as they were before. I mean, the fact that you were working in the ammunition factory, they didn't improve your food or your conditions or your quarters or where you lived or slept? No. Okay.
The only thing is that we were together with the Polish people, some of them. That's why I bring out the incident with my friend, the one what had cancer.
Right.
She was suffering very badly. She was very sick. She said to one Polish girl, do me a favor, bring me poison. At the beginning, the girl didn't want to do it, the Polish girl. But she pleaded with her. And she said to her, you see how I'm suffering? And that's my only way to get out from it. The girl brought the poison. I said to her, and it was Mirka. I said, Mirka, you see, I know that we're not going to live. Nobody believed in it. But still, I wanted to encourage her. And I said, maybe the war is going to be finished, and you see. And she said, Sally, you know what I have. I cannot survive. The Polish girl brought her the stuff. And that's what she told me. She started drinking. And while she had in her mouth, she saw, believe or not, her parents. And they said to her, Mirela, by Jewish people, you're not allowed to do that. She spit it out. On top of that, we had our director. He was a Nazi, an SS man, but he was an aristocrat. He was not, mostly they were from jail. They took him out, and they were murderers. He had a little Menschlichkeit, he liked that girl. He had pity on her. Not like her because she should be a pity. With Werkstattleiters, that was the German, Polish Germans, Werkschutz. He sent her out to a doctor. And finally, she died. When she died, he let her, the director, bring her to the cemetery, Jewish cemetery. It's so much better than her. And we were there until we were working. Very bad conditions. We had 3 bridges, bunks, 3 bunks. And we were not allowed to go out at night time. And you should excuse me, you have to urinate. So when you were on the bottom, sometimes you have to go further. It was raining. Okay. We worked 7 days a week. Every day we got up, appeal. We had a 4 lady. She was a Nazi, an SS lady. Before the war, she was a Jewish, a maid by Jewish people. I'm not going to answer the telephone. She was a maid by Jewish people. And when she changed the milchig to fleischig, they probably punished her, they probably yelled at her, whatever, so she took advantage of us. One time she told us to make, come on, to make a certain amount, what she knew that we cannot do it, just to torture us. So,
You'll have to stop.
So she sent us to this station, Wache. That means remember the canes what the guy got in Sweden? Caned. That's what I got. Well, 5 girls. Not those 5 girls, other 5 girls. We were sitting at one table, particular table, and we were working, and it was impossible. Even 2 days, we couldn't do what she wanted in one day. So one day I got maybe 25 canes. I couldn't sit for a month. I was black and
They hit you with the cane.
I was black and blue. All right. I was praying that I should get sick. I should get a cold or something, that I should get temperature. Then the doctor would give me a note, and maybe I wouldn't work a day.
Right.
Sure enough, one day I got a cold. I had temperature. The doctor gave me a note, and I come to her, and I show her the note. And she said to me, you sit down and you work. Okay? And you give it anesthesia. That's the way how I felt. And I was working. We were there sometimes a Sunday afternoon. They gave us a half a day, which we were very, very lucky. Sometimes.
They gave you time off.
Time off. Sometimes. Not every Sunday, God forbid. So we had a lot of time on our hands, so that's what we were thinking and talking. If they would let us into a room, it would be bread. We were dreaming to own a bread. Unbelievable. And it would be cake, and it would be chicken, would be whatever, meat. What would you eat? In the meantime, we got a taste of it. And the second thing, I would like, if they're going to shot me, they should shot me in the back. I shouldn't see it. Okay? And then they brought up people from other towns to they liquidate Skarżysko. So they brought in the people to our camp, to our concentration camp. And there were Jewish police with the heads. And our director said, take off the head. Who are you going to hit, your brother? That was the Nazi. If he would have, he killed himself. If he would have, we would have saved him. His name was Director Litt. Yeah. He had, feelings for people. And they from director from Skaržisko came in. His name was Bartenschlager. And well, he was a murderer. And he started doing things what director did not like. For instance, he took out the night shift and they tortured during the day them. They should dance, they should, make fun from them. So director said, look, if you're gonna torture them during the day, they're not gonna work at nighttime. I don't have a circus here. I have people they should work, which was right. And the only thing what we were lucky that there was not a gas chamber in our concentration camp. But here and there, they make selections. I'm going to bring out something else.
Yes, go ahead.
That was in I'm going back. In 1943, January the 3rd, Hitler said, if some Jew is going to be left over, they're not going to they're not going to live anymore. But they're going to be a verhackte Soros. We were young. That was still in the small ghetto. We made himself with the bread, whatever. We made ourselves a little party, New Year's Eve party. All right, I'm sorry. And one boy came in and he said that he saw my brother going into the gas chamber, Treblinka. He ran away from Treblinka on his stomach.
This is Shmuel?
Yes, no. He saw that Shmuel went into the gas chamber.
And he escaped, this boy?
This boy escaped, yeah. And that was, the second, my sister got a lot of gitis. She got sick. So I didn't go to work. I stayed with her. About 11 o'clock in the morning, a whole tumult. Everybody has to go out. A selection. They really meant to take little children and elderly people. I met a boy from our town, a landsman. He was an underground in the kibbutz. And I said to him, what are we doing? What should we do? He said to me, I don't know myself. Should we go out or should we hide? They said if they're going to find somebody hiding, they're going to kill. We went out. This boy had a gun with him. And he sees all his friends what were hiding, they stay in a side, either to send them away or to kill them. You want to make a break?
No, keep going.
So this guy with the gun in the hand, the Gestapo went by and he took the gun and tried to kill him. Guess what? The gun stopped.
Misfired.
And it didn't fire.
Didn't fire.
No. Locked.
It locked,
If they will fire him, we all will be dead. So do I have to go further? They shot him, not to death. They let him cold. It was freezing. December the 3rd.
They let him suffer.
No, January 3rd, I'm sorry. January the 3rd, let him suffer. Nobody was allowed to go to him, help him. They count off 10, every 10 boys they took out from the, we have to make a break.
September 13th, 1995, the survivor is Sally Alebarda. This is take 3. You're telling us about the boy who tried to kill the Gestapo.
Yes, because he had a knife to do that. They came gendarmes, soldiers, and every Jew a soldier. We saw already that they give us the soap and they send us into the crematorium. We knew already that, the story already. We were staying there for 3 hours. Yeah, the first they picked 25 boys, every tent. 8, 9, 10, out. 8, 9, 10, out. Okay? And they killed them with machine guns. After 3 hours, we were staying hand up, all of us. If we had a watch or whatever, everything was on the floor. Freezing weather. After 3 hours, finally, they allowed us go back to the ghetto. Do I have to go further what happened in the ghetto? A brother, a husband was killed. There was still war and people were walking street crying. And then the underground, my cousin, the one who was survived with us, with the fifth, she also belonged to the underground and the kibbutz. And they made they tried to make an escape, and they found him.
From Jennifer.
From a tunnel. No, from a tunnel. That was in 1943, beginning of 1943. And they killed them all. Whether somebody said something, whether, I don't know how this happened, but
they tried to escape. They
yes.
were trying to escape.
Yes. And then they concentrate us in the concentration camp. They liquidated a small ghetto completely.
They put you all to the larger ghetto.
No, they concentrated us in the concentration camp on Chazak. That was the name of the Chazak. And we were there. We were there day and night. The morning we got up, we went to the peel, went to work, got a little soup, a little water, whatever, and to sleep. And one day Christmas, that must have been end of 43, the soldiers, they made themselves a party, whatever, outside, and they shot into the
barracks?
To the barracks. And they hit the girl in the lungs. Okay. One time, I recall that a buck, a bed buck, there was plenty down there, went into my sister's ear. Now she thought she's going crazy. So they took her emergency to that. We had a doctor there. He was an officer in the Polish army before the war. And he put in something and he got it out. And we were there until 1943, 1944. Always selections, always sent away, hitting, slapping, torturing. And we didn't have nourishment. We were not, we had no vitamins, let's put it this way. So my sister got under her arm like a ache, like a bump. A boil. They had ETA, the doctor. They did have ETA, but they saved that for couples, for better people. So it caught my sister alive. He was a surgeon. His
No
name,
anesthesia.
No anesthesia.
Right.
And if somebody cried or yelled, throw it out. Okay? Now, they didn't have bandages. So they put down paper bandages. And that was shortly before the liberation. That was in 1945.
Late 44, 45.
45, beginning of, end 44, beginning of 45, louder, okay. And so I had a blouse, and I tore pieces because I was afraid if she has that one arm, they bandage one arm next to the body, so they're gonna send her to death. So I took a blouse, I tore pieces, I make like a bandage. and we did that to her. And then the Germans said, oh, the Russians, they start bomb.
The Russians started bombing.
Yes, Czechoslovakia. The whole town was on fire, but not us. They knew. They knew that there was a concentration camp. Yes. And the Germans were very panicked already, but because they saw the end was, and they start running, and they said, come with us, the Russians gonna come, they're gonna kill you. No, we were afraid of killing. The Russians gonna kill us, let it kill us, who cares?
But the Germans didn't kill you. In other words, the Germans
No,
just
no,
left.
they all of a sudden they were like a father to us. They're gonna take care of us. And they pushed us around, and they make, right away, they start cutting off. From this side, from that side. We always were marching, we always were. So we try, me and my sister, we try to be always in the middle. That if they cut off, they should cut off an end. And finally, that was January the 15th, going on 16, the night. They finally, we were without anybody there. They left. They disappeared. But they took a lot of people with them.
They took people.
Yes, a lot of people. We were lucky that they didn't have a chance to take everybody.
Right.
And a lot of people died in the Dead March from our camp.
So you were on a death march?
No, I was not at the Dead March.
Beginning?
I was liberated in Częstochowa.
Oh, so you never left
January the 16th.
But the rest of your group went on death march?
A lot of people.
Okay. And the Russians liberated you?
The Russians liberated.
Right. Tell me what happened when the Russians liberated
Okay.
you. How did they treat you?
Okay. First of all, we went out again. We were used to go marching with a group. I mean, we didn't go solo. We didn't have the stripes. We didn't have the uniforms. But we were marked on the back with paint. Red paint, blue paint, green paint.
How did they mark?
Categories.
What kind of
stripes? A stripe.
Stripes.
Yeah, a stripe. Yeah. And we also had tags. We didn't have on the arm like in Auschwitz, but we were numbers.
Right.
We had no names.
The numbers were on your uniform?
Yeah, a tag. And if God forbid, if somebody forgot to put this, if let's say I change a blouse, I forgot to put this on. So right away, they shaved up your hair to 0. Great. And we came out, and the Russians, who are you? They didn't know what. So we told them. First thing, we didn't know Russian. So we said tovarish. Tovarish means friend. And so they said, how come you're my friend? You know, that was funny to them. We were so happy to see them. And then we saw Germans. And right away they said, I didn't do nothing. I didn't. The Russian, right away. And it was also very cold. It was January, you know. And we took her, but maybe a couple of days, 3 or maybe 4 or 5 days, we stopped walking.
Did the Russians feed you? Did they give you clothing? Did they have anything for you?
We went to the Polish people. The Polish people, they wrapped, you know. When they dispossessed the Jewish people, they wrapped. When they dispossessed the German people, they wrapped, okay? We had houses. We had some, you know, properties.
Right.
But we were afraid they killed the Polish, you know, the Dr. Sperling, that doctor, what I'm telling you, he was killed by the AK, that's Armia Krajowa, that's from the underground, Polish underground, SHU, after the war, with his wife. There was another, I have that in that book, you're going to read it. There was another incident in the right after the liberation. There was a family, a mother and a daughter and 2 brothers, 1 brother. was home. The girl, she went back to school already. And she met a boy for the NKVD, a Russian soldier, a Jewish boy. His name was Goldberg. And they lived a little out of town. And the Polish underground knocked, it was raining one night, knocked on the door. And they didn't want to open up the door. But the minute he mentioned it, Goldberg sent us. Goldberg was her, she met that boyfriend. They opened up the door and right away shot.
They killed him.
They killed the mother, they killed the daughter.
This is after the war.
Yeah, after the war. I'm talking about Polish people.
Right.
If Hitler wouldn't finish, they want to finish it. And they killed, and the boy, they shot him too, but he still was alive. And he made believe he's dead.
This is Goldberg.
No, this is from the family.
Oh, from the family.
A brother. Goldberg didn't know from nothing.
How did they know this to mention the name Goldberg?
You see, they knew,
They knew.
somehow.
They knew.
And in the morning, he was laying and bleeding the whole night. And in the morning, he got up and he started to get, connect to go to a hospital. And he's saved, thank God, yes. He lives now, I think, in Argentina.
But the sister and the parents were killed.
The father died in the bunker. And he's still there in the bunker. And the mother lived through, and the sister, and they got killed from the Polish army. So we were liberated, and then we started to try to.
Where did you go after the liberation?
We went back to Radomsko, and they gave us an apartment where the German used to live. The German left, and then the joint gave us something.
Joint distribution.
The distribution.
When you went back to your hometown, you found out what happened to your parents and your sisters and your brothers. Tell me what happened to your parents and your sisters and your brothers.
I knew already what happened. I knew when they took him, after we were liberated, the Nazi took us out.
Right.
2 days later, the train came. If he wouldn't have taken us out that time, we would have gone with him.
Where did they go? You didn't tell me.
Treblinka,
Your whole family.
yes,
That was in 1942.
in
That's
1942.
when your entire family died.
Right.
All right, so now you're back in the town. The war is over.
The war is over, and we try from scratch. We try to do something, We had some Polish friends. They were not really friends. They're very, but
You try to get back some of your
the
property.
first punchline here was, "Still alive?" Yeah, right?
So you got back nothing.
No. I tried, so they told me, "You want to live? Run."
Get out.
So we went to Częstochow. And from Częstochow, we were there a few months. And then the end of 1945, I went to Berlin. Not legal. I just took a break. Well, what can I tell you? Yeah. And from there, we went to American Son, Landsberg, Germany. And we got in contact with, I had 2 uncles in the United States. I still have one uncle died, my father's brothers. And they start working on it, and they send us papers. And by 1949, May the 4th, we arrived to the United
All right,
States.
you're saying we. You left out when you got married.
Yes,
When did you get married?
I'm 45.
1945. So you and your husband, what was his name?
Martin.
Martin. So you and Martin went
Okay.
to Berlin, and then you
He-
were able to get passage to the
No, I
United
went by myself. He still had something to do, to sell something, and then he came.
Right, but you
When I
traveled-
was already in Germany.
Yeah, but you traveled to the United
Yes,
States together.
yes.
Do you remember the boat that you?
Oh, sure.
What's the name of the boat?
General Taylor. How can I forget that?
How was the trip?
The trip I was all right, but some people were so sick. And we went alphabetically on the boat. So of course I was at the first, and I was right to the point at the boat. Okay,
It goes up and down.
right. And the German and the American director, whatever he was on the boat, he said I should be take care that the people should pay. Nobody paid for us, so we had to work on the boat. Ah, sure. Nobody paid for us.
What did you do on the boat?
Painting, washing, whatever. So the next day I come to the kitchen for breakfast, and he asked me whether they working. I said, who? Everybody was sick.
Oh,
Seasick. And that's the way how I came to the United States.
you landed where?
And New York,
New York. And you went to live where?
the east side, the lower east side, 10th Street, between Avenue B and C, if you're familiar
I
there.
know where it is.
Yeah.
What did your husband do for a living?
My uncle had a shop. The shop had him. He was not a rich man. So we started working by dresses.
The garment business.
Yeah, I started working as an operator. They told me how to operate, and my husband was a presser.
You had how many children?
2 children.
Who are they?
Esther, she's named after my mother, and Arlene.
Where do they live?
Esther lives in Simi Valley, California. And Arlene lives in New Jersey, Manalapan, New Jersey.
And tell me about your grandchildren.
My grandchildren are adorable.
Of course, what else?
My granddaughter, I have pictures of them. My granddaughter is 23. She's graduating now. She's a late bloomer. Let's put it this way. In the beginning, she didn't care for college. Now she's an A student straight. She's going to graduate in April, and she goes right for the master's. Yeah, very ambitious. My grandson is 21. He's going to graduate in June, and he goes for psychology. Very ambitious.
Good children.
Good children. My younger daughter's children, Meredith, her sweet 16 is going to be in January. January is a very famous month for me.
Good month.
Yeah.
It's a mazel tov.
Yeah. And Danielle is 12.
I'd like to know, from your own standpoint, why do you think you survived?
That's a very good, somebody asked me, I hate to tell you who. I went to a psychiatrist for Germany, and he asked me why I survived, why my parents didn't survive. I was ready to take a chair and give him over the head,
Don't give me a chair.
No, God forbid. No, I'm just saying to you. Sometimes I ask myself, how? I don't know. I really don't know whether it was a matter of luck. Mine life was just like you take a match and you rub it, If like I said, they took out the 5 girls, right?
Yeah.
They took us out.
You were one.
Yeah. If they will come a day later, we would have been Treblinka.
So you say Bashet?
Yeah, Bashet, right.
What do you want the world to remember about the Holocaust?
I wonder the world should remember. That should be never forgotten. That how can people do things like that to people? Civilized. Germany. And when I was in Germany, the German woman, I lived with her, they had to give me a room. She said, ich hab gar nicht gewusst. She didn't know from nothing. They know. Everybody know. They just make believe they didn't know. There's no such a thing that they didn't know. And then I started working, and then we lived in the Bronx, and then we bought a house in Brooklyn, and that's it.
But the world should know
The world
that
should
you
know.
survived and how you survived.
Yes, that should never be forgotten.
My last question. You came from a very Orthodox family.
Yes.
What is your feeling about religion today?
Well, I tell you something, and I'm very honest with you. If I believe in God, everybody should. I still have a kosher home. As a child, I was brought up that if I would just touch Treif, I will die the next day.
I was brought up the
Okay,
same
that's the way I was brought up. Outside I eat. I wouldn't eat lobster or chaze, I wouldn't eat. But I eat fish, okay, modern. But at home I have two set of dishes. I am not so religious like my mother, forget it, cannot be. Because I have a dishwasher, I cannot wash milchik away. I just rinse it out, and the water is so hot that it's to kash it. For Passover, the people used to kash it. So,
This is not a confession.
no, I'm just saying, no, I understand. But I'm just saying that I still teach my children. They know about it, they should know, that should never be forgotten. Like they say, never again. But who knows? I hope that this history wouldn't repeat.
Sally, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Same to you.
I wish you and your family nachas
Thank
and good
you,
health.
thank you. I wish you the same. And the rest is history. But I have very good children. I have pictures of my parents.
We'll see the pictures.
Yes. And of my children, my grandchildren. What can I tell you?
You've told me. Thank you.
My pleasure. And I will go any place and I will tell wherever I can, it's possible. That story should not be forgotten. This is my parents. My mother's name was Esther, and my father's name was Moshe. This is when they got married in 1918 in Radomsko. This picture was taken in roughly 37. On the right side is my Aunt Helen. In the middle is my brother Shmuel, and I am on the left side. This is my lovely granddaughter. Her name is Rochelle Janowski. And the picture was made in Simi Valley, California.
What year? How old is
In 1990. No.
she? This was taken in New Jersey.
This is my grandson, David Janowski. This picture's taken in Simi Valley in 1993. This picture was taken in 1994. I had an interview, and
What paper was that?
a sunset. Sunset. This is my granddaughter, Meredith Kaplan. The picture was taken in 1993
Where?
in New Jersey. This picture is Danielle Kaplan, my granddaughter, and the picture was taken in New Jersey in 1993. This is my brother, Shmuel, And in the middle I am, and then is my sister Tema. That picture was roughly taken in 1925
Where?
in Radomska.
And your sister survived with you?
And my sister survived with me, and she lives in Brooklyn and in the village too.
Okay. Tell us who this is.
Oh, this is my daughter, my younger daughter, Aline Kaplan, Paul Kaplan, her husband. And I am there, and my two grandchildren, Meredith and Danielle Kaplan, made here in Sanctuary Village in the synagogue,
What year?
Temple Shalom, 1993. This is my older daughter, Esther, and her husband, Boyny Janowski. The picture was taken in Long Island, the wedding, in 1968.